Hey, Nate Miller here. I hope everybody's having a great day. It's a little rainy here in Arkansas. No matter where you are, I'm glad you're here. I have an exciting day today. We're going to go over several good questions. Some questions I think that are really going to help a lot of people out. And I'm also going to announce the winner of my free book, The Secret to Winning Big, where I'm going to ship that out at my cost to the winner from last week and tell you how you can win this week. Also, I'm going to go over my wild caving adventure I had this last weekend. It was great, and I have some really great points about how it applies to leadership and performance. So I'm going to give everybody just a second here to get on. I'm going to get it pulled up on my phone so I can make sure that any questions or comments or any issues that come up during the live stream, I will be able to get to it on my phone. And if you have a question that you would like to ask today, be sure to post it in the comment section of this live stream. I'm here to coach you. I'm here to provide you with everything that you need. Every question that I can possibly answer, I will try my best to answer for you. And you just have to post it in the comment section. Also, if a question that someone else asks and I answer it, and you have a question about that, spurs from that, feel free to comment in the comment section, and I'll answer that as well. I want this to be live and interactive, and I want to help you any way that I possibly can. All right, I'm gonna wait just another minute. Sometimes it takes people, I'm gonna get another sip of water here, let everybody get on, then we're gonna get going. All right, let's get to it. Welcome to today's leadership and performance question and answer session. My name is Nate Miller, and I appreciate you taking the time to be here. And I want to welcome all the live viewers right now, and I also want to welcome anybody watching this by replay, because lots of people are not able to watch this live, so they watch it by replay. So thank you for joining today as well. I want to tell you just a little bit about myself before we get going. I am a professional speaker, performance coach, consultant, and healthcare executive. If you're not familiar with me, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a physical therapist by background, but quickly went into administration and became a hospital chief executive officer in my 20s, the youngest for a large Fortune 500 healthcare company, youngest in their history. From there, I went on to the acute care industry and had some highly award-winning hospitals, received lots of awards, did lots of great things in the organizations that I was able to lead as a hospital CEO. Left that, took it to the next level, and became a consultant so I could go out and help other hospitals achieve great success and great operations. And from there, I also went into other industries, started consulting with other industries on leadership and leadership development and operational success. A lot of what I did on the consultant basis was operational turnaround. And what I realized while doing this, the thing that most organizations that were failing lacked were inspirational leaders. So I really honed in and focused on inspirational leadership, and I use those techniques to teach people how to be inspirational leaders that really turn around their organizations fast, and also, how to take these lessons and really apply them. Because one thing that I remember when I was learning how to be a leader, I would listen to somebody speak about leadership and performance, or I would go to a conference, listen to a speaker, and I'd be really excited and really energized. They had some great ideas. But when I got back to work, I really didn't know how to implement them, and there wasn't any really good strategy of how to implement those. So what I like to do is to give people strategies that are easy to understand and they're easy to implement. What I teach, you can take it today and implement it and see results. So I really boil it down to practical strategy and practical implementation. So that's a little bit about myself. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the session. Now, Before I get to the questions, I want to tell you about something I did this last weekend. Some of you might have seen my live streams before and after. Obviously, I could not live stream in the cave, but I went on a wild cave tour at Blanchard Springs Caverns. It's around Mountain View, Arkansas, and they have 2 guided tours that you can go to where you have steps and sidewalks and rails, and you can kind of go and you stay on the sidewalk, and they have very beautiful formations, very beautiful things that you can look at and see. It's very well lit, you know, very easy to do. But they also offer what's called a wild cave tour, and probably half of the cave is the guided tour where you're on the sidewalks and rails and everything, and then the second half of the cave is just a raw cave, and it's huge. These caverns are huge. And so what you can do is you can go with a guide, and you have to be a certain age, I think 12 or 13, and they only take, I think, up to 6 people because it's, you know, so strenuous, and there's some really tight places that you have to get through. And you go through a caving expert, and you go all throughout this cave. It's like 5.5 hours. So we did that. We had a great time. I'm going to show you a picture here from the tour. Here we are crawling through part of the cave. Just a great experience. And you know, some of the things I thought about from a leadership and performance perspective when I did this tour was, before the tour ever started, you had to make sure that you had proper foot attire, because we were going up some very steep slopes, very slippery rocks, you know, lots of condensation and moisture inside of caves. So you had to make sure that you had the right type of boots on your feet to be able to do the tour. And they tell you, if you get there and you don't have the right type of boots, that you cannot participate in the tour. So, you know, one of the first things is to make sure that you have the right tools. And so we get there and we get geared up, we get our helmets on, our lights on, and we put on these they're actually ice cave suits that we wore, because it's very muddy, very dirty, and there's lots of times that you're maneuvering with your body that it would tear clothing if you didn't have these heavy duty suits on. So lesson number 1 is making sure you have the proper equipment. So the second thing that I thought would be a good point, and I'll probably do some more videos and expand on this, but just hit a few points today. The second thing I learned is that it is important to have somebody leading you that knows what they're doing, and also somebody that didn't micromanage you. So like our guide, like there were times when it got very tricky and you're going over, you know, a 200-foot drop off, and you have to put your feet just in the right locations. He would tell you exactly where to put your feet and exactly how to do it. But other times, you know, it wasn't that tricky, wasn't that difficult. He just kind of backed off and let us, you know, figure out the best way for us to go up and climb, or go down and climb. And that's important too, if you're in a leadership position, is making sure that you provide the right level of guidance. Sometimes you need to provide more guidance, and sometimes you need to back off and let people figure out how to do things on their own. And another key point, just to piggyback off that one, is when we got in that cave, everything looked the same. Even though it was huge and we're going through all these different areas, everything looked the same. And if we didn't have a leader to follow, if we didn't have somebody that had been there and done that, we might not have made it back out of that cave. There's one point where we were going through, it's called the maze, very appropriately named, and he set his flashlight down, and he said, just as a point of reference. And so we go through all these areas and do all these different things, and we come down, and lo and behold, we came back down where his flashlight was, and I tell you, it all looked the same. So having somebody that has been there and done that, and that can guide you and provide you the right way to do things, the right direction to go, is invaluable. And the last thing that I'll share about this trip is that it is something that it was very physically demanding and taxing on us, and it's something that we probably wouldn't have done if our 13-year-old daughter didn't want to do it. But once we got done, we really had a sense of accomplishment, sense of pride that we've done something that a lot of people haven't done. And so the thing that I think is important about that is you always have to challenge yourself. You always have to push yourself. You always have to expand your comfort zone. And you always have to do things that, you know, feel like where you receive a sense of accomplishment. by doing something that not many people do, it really gives you a different experience, different feeling, and really kind of helps spur you on to your creativity, helps you build confidence. Now that we've gone through that and went over some of the elements that we went over, it really built a lot of confidence in my wife, daughter, and I. So not to talk a whole lot about that, I could keep talking about that, but that's just something that I just wanted to share about our cave tour. So now we will get to the questions. I have received 4 questions so far that people have emailed me. Some people like to really remain anonymous, and that's fine. But before I do that, let me announce my book winner. So last week I said if you were on the live stream or watching by replay, it doesn't matter, and you shared the live stream, you were entered as in a chance to win a copy of my best-selling book. This book hit 5 best-selling lists, co-authored it with Brian Tracy. It's called The Secret to Winning Big. And out of the people that shared it, I randomly chose one winner, and the winner is Willie Dunbar. So I will tag you in the replay in the comment section, Willie, to make sure that you know that you were the winner if you're not on here live. And you can shoot me through Facebook Messenger or email your address, and I'm going to sign this, personalize it to you, and ship it to you at my cost. So here's how you can win this week. Here is what to do. You need to like this post that the live stream is on, and all you need to do is tag a friend in the comment section that you think might enjoy this live stream, or somebody that you feel like would benefit from hearing what I'm speaking about today. So that's how you will, and I'll announce the winner on my live stream next week. I do a live stream every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Central, and that is how you can win a free copy, hardback copy of my best-selling book, The Secret to Winning Big. So congratulations, Willie. Thanks for sharing. Okay, let's get to the questions. Let me see if there's any questions in the comment section. I don't believe we have any so far. Remember, if you have any question, anything you'd like me to coach you on, any questions you'd like for me to ask, or if you have a comment or question about anything I share today, feel free to put that comment in the comment section. All right, so the first question is, this last time I did not receive the raise I thought I deserved. How can I approach this with my boss? Great question. Something that I've personally experienced as well. It can be very frustrating too to be in this situation, especially if you have a boss that has a lot of different employees and you feel like maybe the boss doesn't completely understand, or your supervisor doesn't completely understand the things you do on a daily basis. So my recommendation here is to set up a meeting with your supervisor, the person that does your evaluation, who determines your level of raise or your merit increase. And I would just say, go through and say, whatever the criteria is. I would say I would take the evaluation that they use. Most places use some type of performance appraisal or evaluation tool. And I would take that evaluation tool with me, and I would just have a conversation with your boss, supervisor, and make sure you're doing this in a very non-defensive, calm manner, seeking to understand a Stephen Covey principle, very, non-defensive, non-confrontational, and just say, I really thought I deserved a better raise, a higher raise, and I'm going to explain to you why. And then I would like for you to explain to me why you scored me the way you did and gave me the raise that you did. And you can go through your performance appraisal and say you were scored lower than an area that you felt like you shouldn't have been scored. I would just say, okay, let's say that there's a 5-point criteria. 1 or a 0 is the worst score you can get for that criteria. 5 is the highest score. Let's say you scored a 3. I would just say, okay, you scored me a 3 here. How can I get to a level 4 and level 5? What do I need to do next time? And I would just go through your evaluation tool, and if there's things that your supervisor wasn't aware that you have accomplished or things that you've done, I would share that with him or her. And I would also just go through and ask, say, okay, I got a 3% raise this time. I want to get a 5% raise next time. How can I achieve that? What can I do? And by doing that, you're showing your boss, your supervisor, that you truly care, that you value their opinion, and that you truly want to improve your performance. Sends a strong message to your supervisor. But that's a very objective way to do this, and there's already a tool in place that you can go through with your performance appraisal. And so that is the process I would take. It probably isn't going to change the raise that you got this time. However, I think it'll have a big impact whenever the next raise rolls around. And also you can understand, have your boss explain to you why they scored you the way they did and what it will take for you to move up to the next level on the next evaluative period. It's a great question, I appreciate that. That was question number 1. Question number 2. I want to publicly recognize a few employees that are doing a great job, but I'm afraid it will create resentment with the other employees. And this is something that is becoming more common within the workplace, just the way that our society is moving towards, and some of the way that the younger generation is being raised is we're afraid to publicly recognize people because it will create an adverse effect in the people that aren't recognized. So, and it's really a shame, and lots of organizations are moving away from public recognition because of this fact, and I think that it actually does the opposite effect than what they're hoping to accomplish. So my recommendation is, if you have employees that you want to publicly recommend, I would publicly recommend them. But I would create a system where it's consistent and it's fair. So let's say you have an employee that does a great job with customer service, like you have one example, and you want to share that, in front of your organization. Then share that example in front of everybody. Give those people the pat on the back and the recognition in front of their peers for doing that. But make sure that the next time somebody else does that, that you do the same thing. So make sure that it's fair and consistent across the board. That's how people get in trouble. But don't be afraid to publicly recognize your employees. You can do this. You can even, get them gift certificates to, eating places, movie tickets, something like that, as a way of recognition. It's really, you don't have to spend a lot of money either to do this, or you can just, publicly recommend them, or give them a public congratulations, thank you, recognition without giving them any kind of monetary thing. But you can give them a, $10 Starbucks card, $10 Subway card, McDonald's card, whatever. That really goes a long way. But for people that are good, just having the recognition makes them feel really good. But don't be afraid of that, because if somebody gets angry because they weren't recognized, then that employee is probably not someone that you want to put a lot of time and effort into. When I've been in situations where other people were publicly recognized and I wasn't, it just made me want to try that much harder, made me want to strive. I was like, wow, great for them, they did a great job, I'm thankful that they did that, that they went that extra mile. But hey, this shows me how I can be publicly recognized this time. It just kind of leads, the way, shows me the way of how I can receive public recognition too. Also shows you what's important to your organization and what's important to your boss. So with all that being said, have a fair and balanced way that you can recognize employees. Make sure that if you recognize one employee, if another employee does the same thing, that you give them the same recognition. But don't be afraid to do it. I think it's a great tool to motivate people and to inspire people within your organization. So I hope that answers your question. All right, I don't see any comments. Let's go to question number 3. I lead an accounting team. One of my best accountants has one of the worst attitudes and really stirs the pot. How do I handle this? And I assume they're a little concerned because it's one of their best technically gifted employees. But this is a lesson I learned a long time ago. It's something I learned in healthcare, that I could have a therapist, I could have a nurse, I could have a doctor. They could be the best doctor, they could be the best nurse, they could be the best therapist. But if they were stirring the pot, it was not worth having them in your organizations. And I see this a lot of times when I would go into failing organizations. They would have people that really created a lot of divisiveness, and they really created a lot of trouble, and kept people stirred up and people feeling frustrated, but organizations wouldn't get rid of them because technically they were good. And so you have to get over that. You have to get over that fact. If someone is stirring up your organization, it does not matter how good they are. If they don't share your values for your organization, which they don't if they're stirring the pot, and they're getting other people upset and impacting other people's work, which they are, and they're probably greatly impacting you if you're their supervisor, you have to just bite the bullet and get rid of those individuals. Now, first, you need to make sure that you address it. Don't just, sit there and say, all right, I'm gonna get rid of this person because they're stirring the pot. Go through your performance counseling with that individual. Sit down with them and say, listen, here's what you're doing. Here's why it's a problem. And here's why I want you to stop. And if you don't stop, here's the result. So you make sure they might not even know that it's a big deal or that it frustrates you or it's something that they're not supposed to do, because nobody's ever told them that before. So first, give them an opportunity to correct that behavior. But then if they don't correct that behavior, you need to move them out of your organization, because even though they're good, even though it's a great accountant, they're going to cause more problems within your organization than their good skill is going to be worth. And they're probably causing a lot of people to have a lot of job dissatisfaction. And what I've seen in instances where this wasn't addressed, where people allow this behavior to continue because they were sacred cows, and let me give you a piece of advice: sacred cows make the best hamburgers. But back to my statement here is, what happened was, if those people, if their performance wasn't addressed, your other good people would get frustrated with that and they would leave and find another job because they don't want to be in a toxic work environment. So you have to address it, go through the performance process, but get rid of those individuals. Do not keep somebody just because their numbers are good or they're good. If they are stirring the pot, if they're causing problems, get rid of them. It's that simple. All right, last question that I had submitted before the live stream. I disagree with my superior about a decision. I'm sure we've all been there. I disagree with my superior about a decision she made. How do I approach this without making her mad? Well, the first thing that I would do is I would request a meeting, and I would really sit down and be strategic about how I was going to communicate with my supervisor. I would make sure that I had my points and that they were objective, not a lot of feeling and emotion, and go into that meeting seeking to understand. You go into that meeting and say, hey, I don't understand why you made this decision. Can you help me understand it? Help explain it to me, because I just don't grasp why this decision was made. That is a much different statement than going to your boss and saying, why did you make this decision? And I've seen both. Believe me, I've seen both. So how you couch the question, the tone that you have, and the approach that you take is huge in a situation like this. So that's what I would do. I would make sure that I have my points. I was objective. Don't bring a lot of emotion into it. Don't bring any anger, frustration. Even though you might be angry, even though you might be frustrated, that is never going to help you achieve the outcome that you want to achieve. Is one, stating that you disagree with your supervisor about this opinion, and two, getting your objective opinion out there of why you think the decision was wrong. I've had times where I used this approach to go to my boss, my supervisor. I thought my boss and supervisor was dead wrong, and I go to them and I laid out my case, said, help me understand. And they did. They helped me understand. I might not have had all the information, or I wasn't looking at it from the right perspective, and I didn't realize that sometimes you know, when you make one decision, it impacts the second decision, third decision, fourth decision. I just thought about the one decision. I didn't think how it would impact situation 2, situation 3, situation 4. And going through this process with my supervisor, I then understood that, okay, well, this isn't a great option, but it is the best option available, because if you don't make this decision, it's going to cause more harm down the road. So I hope that makes sense. But genuinely go into it seeking to understand why your supervisor made the decision that they made, and, you know, share your opinion very objectively, without emotion, seeking to understand. Get your point across, get their point across, try to understand why they made the decision. And that's really the best thing that you can do. Ultimately, they're your supervisor, and ultimately the decision that they make is one that you have to live with, since they're your supervisor. But at least this gives you an opportunity to share your side of the story and to go into a deeper conversation and seek to understand why the decision was made. And sometimes it will help you understand why the decision was made. Sometimes it won't, but at least you have the satisfaction of knowing that you had your opinion shared with your supervisor. They understand where you're coming from, and let them know that you disagree with their opinion. Because trust me, sometimes when you're in a supervisory capacity, there's the lesser of evils in some of the choices you have to make. There's choices where there's no perfect answer. You just have to pick the answer that is the best answer. So I hope that answers that question. That is all the questions that I had submitted. Let me check my live stream here, just to make sure that there is no comments or questions. I don't see any comments. All right, once again, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day today to watch this live stream. I appreciate everyone that asked a question, and I appreciate everybody that is watching this live or watching this through replay. I know lots of people can't watch it live and they have to go back and watch the replay, so thank you for that. And if you felt like this was something that was valuable or something other people would like to hear, please share it, like it, share it. And if you want an opportunity to win a copy of my best-selling book, The Secret to Winning Big, I co-authored with Brian Tracy, I'm going to pick out a winner next week on the live stream that I'll announce on the live stream. All you have to do is tag a friend in the comments section. You will be entered in for a chance to win my free book. Willie Dunbar was this week's winner. I want to congratulate Willie. I'm going to get this book out to him tomorrow. And again, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this live stream. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. And listen, take what you've learned today and go out and make a positive impact within your organization. I hope it makes a positive impact for you, but you have the opportunity to really go out and impact people in a positive manner. Go lift people up today. Go provide encouragement to someone. Go edify someone. Go provide them with uplifting words. You will not regret it. It is something that I promise you will help them, and it will help you as well. So listen, have a great day, and I will see you next week. Bye.